Welcome to the Disruptors in the Culture podcast. I am your co-host, Amira Smith. I'm here with my awesome co-host, Joshua Meekins.
What's up? What's up?
We are joined today, also in the room, you don't see him on camera, but for those listening, our two producers are here with us, Wanjuku and Drew. So, they might punch in and, have little comments if they would like. But, it's February and winter. What's going on with you, Josh? How's your life looking like?
I'd be hibernating in the winter. Actually, when we first started the podcast, I had ruptured my Achilles, so I was in a boot and a scooter and a whole bunch of nonsense for a while. But now I'm walking. I actually just started jogging today.
Wow, I'm proud of you.
Yes,
that's
I was
awesome.
jogging. Hopefully, I'll be running in like a couple more weeks. And then my doctor wants to put me back on a basketball court, but I don't think I'm ever going back.
You're scared.
I'm terrified.
You're not living up to the legacy. Kobe would never. You gonna quit? You gonna quit?
I'm gonna quit. I gotta sit up. Drew's can y'all see me? Drew's telling me I gotta sit up.
Of course they can see you, bro.
Cool. I'm just making sure.
But that's awesome because I know that had to be kind of weird being an athlete.
Yeah, it's like, what you got something to say?
Drew, what you gotta say, Drew? You trying to say he a fake athlete?
Yeah, you called him an athlete. We have not seen him play one sport.
Wow.
On television.
Wow, yeah.
But wait, I thought you were a college athlete.
I was not a college athlete.
I
was the most athletic, non-athletic athlete.
I'm not gonna lie though. This is it's funny because Valentine's Day being tomorrow. I was at a co-working space earlier. And this girl, we were all talking, it was like three of us talking about dating and stuff. And I was like, I had this podcast. And I said, you know what? You might like my friend Josh. And I showed her the one pic you got your shirt off on you. That's why I thought everybody think you an athlete because, you all cut up.
But the crazy thing is, like, in college, everybody thought I was an athlete. Like, I would hang out with Drew. They'd be like, you're on the track team, right? I was like, no, I don't play a sport. Literally don't play a sport. Tony thought I was an athlete.
So you just work out?
Yeah, I stay in shape. I mean, I played like highly competitive like high school baseball and like was recruited to play baseball in college, but just chose not to do it. So I mean, everybody can't be like Drew and play.
Tell them about the shoulders.
I dislocated my shoulders in high school. I mean, I was still nice. What's that got to do with anything?
I'm just saying.
Let me find out the episode we don't have a guest. It's going to turn into a roast session.
I know,
We're just
right?
going to roast Josh all episode.
We gave Drew the mic, and Drew's like, it's a wrap. He was like, I'm exposing everything.
Apologize.
They don't know the truth about you, man. Yeah, nah. But Drew actually played track and field in college. He threw, right? You can actually, you have a whole microphone. Tell him what you did.
I don't really like talking about myself. Yeah, I did track, and I did football for a brief stint until it got boring.
We all remember that. Drew used to get the playbooks and like know all the plays of all the other teams and just be in the room studying. So Drew knows about the athlete life for real.
Nice. Man, listen. So, well, that's good. You're back on the road to recovery.
I'm back on the road to recovery.
Yeah, my life's been a little boring.
Really?
Yeah.
In the winter too?
Yeah, I picked up work consulting.
You got the new job. Tell them. So first of all, first two episodes, Amira have no job.
Oh, that's right. I was
have no job.
I was whipping in the wind. Yeah.
So what's up? What you on?
I'm just a consultant for a nonprofit doing social and new media. I'm still freelance producing projects here and there, trying to sell some screenplays and everything, put some pieces together. But I mean, it worked out great. Like it's funny because sometimes you're in one situation, and a lot of times we'll have a job and it's usually money. That's the one setback. Because my old job, I loved my old job, but it was kind of like you feel like I feel like I outgrew the role. After a while, right? Like it was just like, you know what, this is time to move on. It's time to grow as a producer, right? So
I left. You to challenge yourself more.
Yeah, challenge myself more because that was kind of like this is what it will be.
Yep.
And this will just be a repetition. I did it for 4 years, right? So moved on to like film investment, and then that whole thing was like, whoa, like literally is like a tailspin. That was. Yeah. It was the best of times and the worst of times. Okay. Just say that. And then I found myself in between jobs. I was like, gigging, finding some producing work, and it was just like, oh, okay. Yeah. When I could get it, it was good. Then I got offered this contract, which is like part-time, 25 hours a week, and I work from wherever I feel like, outside of meetings, a couple meetings.
Office, yes.
And I am making actually a little more than I made at my old job. And I was just like,
look at God. Somebody look at God.
but then when you realize some people, you be like, oh, so y'all pay back, like what?
Yes.
So then you start realizing, not to diss my old job. Let me just stop right where I'm at. I'm about to be like, that was cheap.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you're getting what you're worth now, so that's like way better than before.
Way better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's funny because this job is a small, like the duties are a small portion of what I used to do at my old job. So it was just like I had a lot more on my plate.
Yeah.
For full time, and actually you worked a little bit more than full time, more than 40 hours a week for sure. And I'm getting, it's like literally the same money. So I'm just like, what?
That's love. I mean, if I could, I told you this week I was working like a dog. I was driving all over the place. So like, if I could get more money to do less work, I wouldn't be opposed to it at all. Like, by no means.
Exactly. So yeah, that's pretty good. You know,
that's a whole come up. I'm proud of you, for
Thank
real.
you.
That's really crazy.
we both got some good stuff to talk about.
I'm
You
saying.
know what we need to do? We need to really catch up with Tony.
Yes,
'Cause
so
Tony
I
is in
had a call
LA.
with Tony today. So
Okay.
for all the people who know, Tony, like you said, is in LA. He's been going really hard. I know he's doing, I want to say, that's not necessarily interning, but he's been on set for a few different places. But he's really been pushing Dollar Party, which is the feature film that we're doing. So I know he has had a couple conversations with a couple different production companies and has really been like pushing it. But he's living it up. So hopefully we can get, like you said, like a recap or definitely catch up with him and see what's going on, because is living his LA life.
The
For
dream.
real, for real.
You know, the dream. It's funny. I was having a conversation earlier and talking about, you know, being out in LA or going out to LA.
Yeah.
And the person was just like, yeah, it's like there's so many people in LA in the business and they're all Philly folks. Like,
Yeah.
So many Philly people. So it's kind of like, you know, you can find the home and a network out there quick when you're from Philly. It's like interesting. It's like that's pretty dope. So Tony's doing his thing.
He is definitely.
He's been doing some really good meetings out there. So
Yes.
that'll
yes,
be like
yes,
awesome
yes.
to catch up with him and what he has going on. And for those, if you haven't seen the previous episodes, Tony is actually 1/3 of the Disruptors in the Culture podcast. Tony and Josh are producing partners on Old Head, the web series,
Yep.
and pretty much everything else content-wise you guys do.
Yeah, all the narratives. I mean, he writes scripts, I write scripts, and whatever we kind of just decided to push at that time is what we push. So right now, like I said, we're doing Dollar Party, which is bubbling slowly but surely, and I can't wait to, once everything becomes public, to share announcements and stuff like that with everybody. But right now, we're just gonna keep praying on it, keep pushing it, and as things pop up, we'll share what we can.
Yeah, brother. Like Tony is like Josh's, like they say, comrade in arms, brother in arms.
Brother in arms for real,
Yeah.
for years at this point, which is crazy. But this is like another endeavor where he was like, I'm gonna go out to LA, but I was like, I'm gonna hold on the fort here. We got Amira on the team. We make up a pretty solid team now. So Disruptors in the Culture actually taking off.
Yeah, man. So I figure, you know, for this episode, since we don't have a guest,
Yeah.
we're talking about what's to talk about. I mean, Valentine's Day is tomorrow, but you know, I don't have much of anything to talk about.
Actually, my mom tried to ditch me for Valentine's Day. If you really want to talk about it, that was like I'd never been hurt before like that.
You were trying to take her out?
I was like, all right, cool. It's Valentine's Day. You know, you take your mom out for Valentine's Day or your grandmother out for Valentine's Day. But I was like, I haven't taken my mom out in a while, so let me treat my mom to like get her nails done, pedicure, or whatever. She's like, I got my nails done already. I was like, all right, Mom. Like, what else can we do? Well, I have work all day. I was like, Mom, you really gonna stand me up on Valentine's Day?
Yeah, that was her. That was
terrible,
her basically.
right? Like, I ain't even getting like no love at all.
Now your dad would be offended that you would ask to take his wife out.
I know my dad is like, my dad already does what he needs to do ahead of time. So it's like my mom, like, she's not doing nothing. So it's like, okay, like.
Maybe they don't want you in their business. Maybe they like, look, we got some romantic plans, and it's none of your business.
They got it. All right.
You know?
I'm going to hold off then.
They can go to a hotel, do a little like, oh, I'm Doug and she's Cheryl.
Oh, my God. I don't even want to think about her.
You
I
trying
do
to
got young
intrude.
parents, though, which is crazy.
But it's funny because your mom probably, you know, she probably was like high key thinking like, oh, since you ain't got a boo this year, now you so concerned, please.
No, I mean, I always. So I think my dad did a good job to making sure, like, on Valentine's Day, we always do something special for my mom or like the women in our life at that time. So we take care of my mom, we take care of my grandmother, like regardless if we're dating somebody or not.
Nice.
So like, I was just trying to, you know, make sure she had money to get her stuff done, but she was all like, I already got it done. So
She ain't playing with you.
she ain't playing with me. She don't even want me to just take her out. So
She said, listen.
I ain't never been set up with my mom on Valentine's Day until this year.
Josh, quick question.
Yes.
So, you know how the girls, when, you know, they don't have Valentine's Day dates, they like to hang out and have a Galentine's Day?
Galentine's
Yes.
Day.
What did the dudes do?
I got a couple different answers. Like I do.
Like, what do you and your friends do?
What do me and my friends do? I mean, first and foremost, we play video games. I'm still like, I feel like I'm at that age where like I play video games still. Like that's what I grew up on. I feel like all my friends, including Drew, will be on the PlayStation till late at night playing games, chilling, comrade and fellowshipping.
Yeah.
But I mean, other than that, I don't think guys really like. Wait, first and foremost, have you ever, either you, Wands, or Amira, done Valentine's Day? No.
Wanda ain't picking that mic up.
Or I'm just like, I'm not doing this.
I done Valentine's. I think once.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
I'm
old, so my memory's starting to go.
Man,
I feel like maybe a couple years ago, like somewhere between the last 5 years, maybe, like we went out and did like a Valentine's happy hour or something.
But y'all spent time together, right?
I think. I don't know. Usually, my Valentine's, because I have my son.
Yeah.
I pretty much always go and get him something.
Oh, that's nice.
But he's a teenager, so I would go to like Ubik.
Yeah.
And go get him a shirt. Like one year, I got him Tyler the Creator, a pair of his Converses and a matching T-shirt.
That's nice.
So I always try to pick him up something on Valentine's Day, and just like that, and if it's something small, that and like chocolate or something, just like hey, my kid.
I'm trying. Well, I have a couple different. I have one friend who does Valentine's Day pretty big, and she like gets all her girls together and they do like a whole like event where it's like they all come together, watch a movie, do prizes, things like that. So that's like pretty intense. And I was just like, oh, that's the first time I ever heard of it like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, more power to it. If that's what y'all want to do, that should be it. Like y'all, if y'all are empowering each other, having time together, and like really being about it, like that's amazing. I wish guys had some type of guysing times day, or like, for lack of a better word, I don't even know. But I'm saying
Palentine's.
Yeah.
Palentine's.
Damn, I can't tell my girl.
Me and my pals.
I can't imagine Drew be like, listen, I'm not going to dinner with you tonight. I got a Palentine's Day with the homies on the PlayStation. We busy. We got things to do. And
that would be kind of cool, a co-ed thing for Valentine's Day.
There's plenty of speed dating things that they have.
But not for dating.
Oh, you don't want
like just like the hangout. You know what I mean?
Like a mutual space.
Yeah, like a bowling party.
Okay.
Like or something that is just like no pressure. Even though men and women, we always trying to make it pop anyway, right?
Yeah. So like happy hour.
Yeah, just like a happy hour, but just something where it's I don't know. But I guess then it's like any other day. So what am I talking about?
Do the guys have to pay?
Yeah, whoa, why? But why do the guys gotta pay? But it's like if it's a
Wajuku got some ideas. She said, "Hold up," but she ain't trying to pick that mic up. So sis, let yourself be heard.
All right. But here's my thing. If it's a mutual event, so say it's like men and women both coming to this event.
But get torched.
Whoa, man.
You keep going.
He's asking the question.
No, but I'm saying like if this is a mutual event that person A is hosting, all the guys gotta pay for all the girls.
No, maybe we'll do an event called Dutch. Ooh, it could be a 420 friendly Valentine's called Dutch, and little greenery.
Well, it could be something. That could be the first of a first.
Over in West Philly, we call that Saturday.
Exactly, right? I mean, but I guess it just takes the fun out of like what Valentine's is supposed to be about. It's weird because it's like I have like seen. I guess I've done a Valentine's thing probably with coworkers or something before, but I had a kid so young that if I don't have like a boo or something, then it's like my kid is always going to get something. It's always going to be like, oh, my little buddy, You
got a permanent Valentine.
Exactly.
That's lovely.
So it's kind of like I don't have that feeling of like I'm not just going to sit out and I've been frustrated in the past, where you're just like, so you just really go and talk this, you do this every day, I remember once I don't know, I'm telling old stories about exes and stuff, but I almost forced it on them. Like once we like did a helicopter ride over New York City. But it was like I'm not really into Valentine's Day. I was engaged then, and it was like I'm not really into it. And he was a great guy. He did, he was very sweet, flowers, all that stuff, like a lot. You know what I mean? But I was like, it's Valentine's Day, and I was like, okay, well, we're going to do something. And I surprised him, and his face was just like, oh, she's serious, and she's not being cheap. And, it's kind of, I think men can feel very underappreciated based on a financial response or the financial weight that dating can bring on. And we were having this conversation a little earlier.
Say that again. Repeat that one more.
Men can feel a little underappreciated based on the financial weight that dating can be.
Ooh.
Like dates and dinner and the drinks and everything. It can add up, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But you men got to be creative. That's my thing. You always don't got to spend money to go out on a date. You always don't have to spend money to go out and spend time.
No, you don't.
What did you do, Josh?
What? Listen, I'm not a love doctor or nothing, but like, you can make Netflix and chill a little bit more than just more than Netflix. Let me finish. Like, you got it. So like, it's about, like we said, spending time with somebody. So it's like, okay, why don't you make dinner together? Let's make a meal that you know that you might not know how to make or try something new. You know what I'm saying?
That's true. But I'm talking about the early stages of dating. When she may not want you to have her address yet. She may not feel comfortable coming to your crib.
Absolutely.
You
so
feel me?
You can learn that person's interests. So like, say that person A or person B is interested in photography. Yes. Let's go to the park and have a photo shoot. You take some pictures.
Yeah, no, of course. There's lots of things.
You know what I'm saying?
But you know, you guys, y'all be salty by having to pay all the time, half the time.
But
you get money. You a young boy, get money, so you know, maybe not.
I just you make sure you have that budget allotted.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying, the takeout budget allotted.
Because we were talking, me and a couple of friends, like literally earlier, co-working, and I said I would peep, you go on a date, dinner and everything, it adds up quick, $250, easy, right? You know what I mean? Like easy night. And then if you do that a few times a week and, it can add up. But I was like, I never really realized truly what it probably feels like being a boyfriend until early last year. I took my son to a college visit. We went to visit NYU.
Yeah.
So, I pay for hotel, like transportation, hotel, dinner, because now it's like no kitchen in the hotel. You got to go out to eat a few times.
And we went to New York.
And I like to do a proper dinner, like no matter where. So we go to a nice restaurant, and and then it's like we went to one spot where it's like, okay, let's have lunch. But then the food literally was like trash. So then it was like, damn, we still hungry. Let's go somewhere else. Yeah. Then we're walking through Soho because we were staying right by Bowery.
And if you're in Soho, I know a couple of things caught his eye.
No, we're walking and he was like, the Stone Island store, oh my God. So we go there. Then he's like, Mom, please. And it's almost like the Puss in Boots eyes. Like, And I'm like, I ain't shopped for you in a while. Because, like, my kid flips his own clothes on Grailed and stuff. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, the $220 sweatshirt, yes. Or it was $220, $240, yes. Then we go to the Supreme store right there. And then it's like, I'm blowing. I got blew a stack in a day, and I was just like, damn, this is what boyfriends feel like.
And you ain't even realize it.
Yeah. It was just like.
And I'm sitting here thinking that, that $300 hurt.
I'm
out here like,
you ever blew a stack in a day, Drew?
Yeah, for myself.
Yeah. And that's I'm just
I haven't gotten that. I'm going to blow a stack on a significant.
Besides a plane ticket. No.
Yeah. And then we didn't even take like Amtrak. We took Megabus. Like, all right, let's just rock out on a Megabus. And did that, and it was just like, whoa. So I could imagine when a girl's like, "Oh, can I have this? Can I have that?" And you're like, "Sure," because they're like little, like one by one, they're little purchases, right?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like most of the time, I also like the people that I'm talking to are like equally yoked. So,
For sure.
So I mean, how do you feel about somebody asking like ahead of, like, so y'all been dating for a little bit,
okay, right
at this point, and the guy, I believe in, like, sometimes it should be 50-50. So at a certain point, are you cool with, like, before the date going like, hey, before we, go out and do this experience, do you want to split it half and half? Or like, what's up? Do you have that conversation? Or what do you do?
I wish.
She was like, no.
No. I don't like getting in the weeds on that. You know what I mean? I'm just like, no, I don't know. It really, what it boils down to, it depends on how much you like the person, And if you feel like, as far as from my standpoint, that's why dating can be hard, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because don't ask me that. Just don't. She said, just
let it happen. Whoever pays for it, preferably you. But
finesse, man. One time I went on a date, my card got declined.
Oh, God.
So then she had to pay for it. Oh, and I'm sitting here like,
true.
I ever tell you about the story when my car got declined for $50? I got it was like the weirdest thing in the world.
Where were you at?
I was in New York, and we were at a bar, and literally I think I got 5 or 6 shots. Yeah. It was like $50. It was like cheap. Yeah. I know I had just gotten paid. Said, here's my card. Gave the dude my card. He swipes the card. He was like, yes, decline. I said, swipe it again. Swipe it again.
Wipe it on your shirt.
Decline. No, I took it back. I like, you know how you like look at the card. I was like it's the right card, right?
Yeah.
It's the right card. Swipe it again.
Why, with security? Because they know you were in New York?
But it was so embarrassing because like there's like 4 or 5 people with me. Like, bro, it's $50, bro. Like, it's not that deep. It was rough.
Hard.
It was
then
rough.
they're gonna pressure you. They're gonna be like, "Hey, Josh, if you want us to get it."
Yeah.
And then your pride is like, "No, I got it. Let me just pay for it." Like,
yeah.
Nah,
I guess it's like I don't like that type of weirdness and like dating and going Dutch. Like if we were really dating, I'm really seeing you, because it's like I'm a grown up. You know what I mean? And that was a conversation too of like when I go out, I order the way I would order for myself. And you know what it is too? I'm a mom, so I go out to eat somewhere good, and I would have my son with me, and we eat whatever we want, drink whatever we want, and okay, I pay. So I'm just like, if you can't afford that, why are you trying to date? Everybody wants companionship, but it's like, you're dating for what? Are you trying to build a life with somebody? What's your end goal?
Yeah.
And more importantly, you could get whatever you want, but you probably can't get it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you could find that person who could fit that mold, but I'm not that.
Here's
you know
my question,
I mean?
too. Do you feel like people should wait to date until they know that they can actually, provide for, or like, have a sustainable...
Just, man, research your prices first. Like, know what the tab could be like for where you want to go. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so if I take somebody out or if I go somewhere, I want that person to eat like they would normally eat. You know what I'm saying? I don't want you being like, I'm gonna get the chicken fingers and fries because it's $5. I don't want none of that.
Yeah.
Like if you want steak, get steak. If you eat sloppy, eat sloppy.
Yeah.
But just like do what you got to do. Like don't go over here and try to like nitpick.
I don't know. Dating is complicated, and it's like, especially when we out here grinding, and do you want to carve out the time of your life? Like, we out here trying to disrupt the culture.
Absolutely.
Trying to make some things happen.
It ain't that easy.
It's just like when you're trying to be like focused and on your journey, and then finding someone who aligns with that.
That's hard.
Yes.
It's not easy.
And who can understand it, right?
It's hard.
Because like sometimes people like the idea of you or who you are in their imagination.
Or you can be.
Well, that you think women like date you off of potential sometimes, and is that it? Like who you can be is kind of like your potential, right?
I mean, yes. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Like they look at you like, I can mold you to be this, and you're like, nah, I'm this, bro. Like this.
Yeah.
Or you tell them a couple things, and they I'll be like, oh yeah, man, I do videos and stuff. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, talking to the mic. I know you're new to this.
I do videos and stuff. They be like, oh my God, you're gonna be a director and something one day. It's like, yes, someday. And then they like, oh yeah, I can see like in a couple years, me and you out here. I'm like, me and you? We just met last week.
Yeah.
Me and me.
They start planning your life out. No.
That's true.
That's really how it be.
My old coworker, she used to say that Joan, it's funny because like, some people, they become like under your work family.
Yeah.
And she definitely, that's one thing about my old job. It's like, that's why I can say I love my job. They were like my work family, right? But she would often say it, like whether even in business sometimes, where we would just say, hey, let's have this meeting. And then they start over planning. And she'd be like, whoa, they're planning a wedding and we just asked them to go to coffee.
Yeah.
They have coffee. And that's how sometimes in a relationship, you're like, we had one date, or like, this is so, and now you're projecting this whole, this whole like long, you're making all this planning, and you could pivot. You know what I mean? You could make a lot of pivots. My issue that sometimes I run up against at times with men is sometimes they want to. I feel like they want to date me to get my contacts.
Yeah. So okay, that's been a new thing.
Yeah.
Like they date you for your influence. Or
Yeah,
the people you know.
The people I know
Yeah,
more. And
yeah,
they'll be
yeah,
like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah.
and then it's funny because people literally DM me like, man, I wish I could be you. Can I come with you to XYZ, or can I be a +1? And I'm sometimes thinking like, dude, I was a +1. You know what I mean? But or they'll be like, man, I love to like accompany you and like to some of these things. I love to be in the same rooms as you. And I'm like, what? You know what I mean?
I have one friend who she's doing very well. I'm not going to name drop her because I'm gonna let her rock. But
Yeah.
she would post a picture out somewhere or be with somebody. She's in a lot of great rooms. She would post a picture, people from her past lining up in her DMs. What you doing now? Can I talk to you? Let's have a conversation. I was just like,
or
it's
can
like
I get an invite next time you go? Which is like,
or I'm in the city. Let's link up. Like,
and sometimes
why now?
it's very innocent. You know what I mean? But sometimes, and it's just a thing like, oh, I'm trying to get like you, or like, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
But they would take you up on that offer if they could, where you're just kind of like, what value are you bringing to the room? Not to downplay it, but it's like, what do you want to meet them to do a deal? Are you trying to pitch something? Like, what is your end goal for getting in that room?
Yeah, and you got to be. I feel like you got to be careful with that. Like as you become more successful and more within your own right, people are going to start looking for you or looking for options and things like that. So
I mean, everybody deserves a shot. You know what I mean? Everybody has something valuable, but it's like to like try to like date someone for that. It's kind of like that's the part where you just like, what? I don't know.
I'm not that famous yet, so
I'm a nobody. I'm a straight up nobody. Yeah. But it's just that weirdness sometimes where it happens. Where like times where they're like, oh my God, you're here, and I'm like, it was something for work.
Yeah.
It was like that was work, and I was working.
I know if you ever pass them on a Lucky Day concert again.
I know. I mean, but that's upset. Because that was we hear podcasts, and I'm committed.
Yeah, I hope we record podcasts instead of going to Lucky Day concerts. I just want y'all to know that.
I know.
It hurt my heart a lot, but
I had tickets, and Josh didn't even know.
I had no clue.
This was like it was called like his serenade concert too. So it's like the day before Valentine's for women. It's the
so I guess it wasn't for me.
No. It was
it's definitely for you if that's what he was doing over there.
Serenading.
Yeah, but it's like
what time to let out? What time to let out at? Tell me what time to let out is.
I mean, the let out gonna be like midnight. I'm
gonna be in my bed.
But you know what though? I'm just saying he might not hit the stage till like 10:30.
I'm gonna be in my bed.
We could roll up there.
Oh, and see
and I could go to we could talk. We'll talk.
Okay, we're gonna talk after the podcast.
Yeah, we might still could make it.
That'd be great. I ain't gonna lie.
Get a last minute Valentine's, man.
No, it might.
Said the last minute Valentine's.
Disrupting the dating culture.
Yeah, but
got a whole new title.
Yeah, man. So love in the modern age.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
that's crazy. That's a whole.
I don't think it has to be complicated, but it is something different when we talk about like entrepreneurship and people who are trying to build things and innovate and partnership and what that type of support or love and relationship looks like. Mm-hmm. But it's one of those things where it's like nobody really has it all figured out, right?
I hate people who act like they do. Bruh, I hate people. It's so easy. You should know what it is. Like, man, shut up.
I mean, I feel like if you have the tools for communication and conflict resolution, then like you're that much more closer. You're that much closer, right? Yeah. But it's like, man, the proximity and meeting the person. Because I have friends who they've been with their partner. Like, matter of fact, 2 couples that I know, they've been married. Gosh, like 16 years.
Hey, shout out them.
You know what I mean? Yeah. But like literally, were high school sweethearts or met college. Got married, and it's kind of like they've been locked in, not even 40 yet, and been locked in like 16, 20 years.
Let me ask you this.
Happily married.
There are people like that who like, after college, whatever, 2 or 3 years later, they're married, having their first kid type of thing. Do you feel like was there ever a time period where it was like, okay, there's a bust of people getting married right now, and like, it slowed down, or like did that change the way you thought about like where you should be at in your relationships or anything like that?
Not for me, but it's I always grew up a little different. I was always different than like my surroundings for the most part. I was, I remember one going into 5th grade, and MC Brains had the #1 song on the radio.
MC Brains.
Yeah, this was exactly way before your time, brother. So this is 91 we talking about.
Wow, this is not 91. Don't say that.
Wow, was you born? You weren't born in 91. You were born in 91 because you're 10 years younger than me. Yeah. No, you're actually 11 years basically. Yeah. Wow.
You look like you're my sister. That's the crazy part.
Drinking water.
That's crazy.
But yeah, I remember, coming into 5th grade. And everybody was singing this song. Yeah. And I thought it was like one of them schoolyard songs you make up, like with double dutch. Yeah. And they're like, you don't know that song? That's MC Brains. I spent my entire summer at the library, just reading.
Wow.
So I was this kid, this like North Philly kid from Strawberry Mansion neighborhood, just like this nerdy kid who was just into books and reading. Like, Babysitter's Club, I want the next book in the series.
Wow, I know Babysitter's Club. That's crazy.
You know what I mean? So I was really... So I've always kind of been an outlier, and not too much pressure to be anything else. But I came from a supportive mom and a supportive family where I wasn't treated as like, oh, you should fit in more.
Or have to do this.
Yeah, I was always like an artist, right? Yeah. So I was always just living in my own creativity in my head. So yeah, so no, but there have been a couple bursts. I think men notice it more because it's such a different men in like coupling and like wanting to make a forever commitment. It's all like society. You guys are socialized differently. Yeah. But I have seen it where like, one friend gets married, then another one gets engaged. And then,
right now, I feel like it's a wildfire with like my friends from high school and some of the people I know from college, just like getting married, throwing rings on it, having kids, like boom, 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 boom. Like my Instagram feed is like, I'm engaged, or like I just proposed, or like this is the one, or like, some song lyric or whatever. Yeah. But like it's crazy. You've seen it, like it's wild.
I think it's great. I don't know.
Bring that mic up, Drew.
Oh, sorry. I think it's great because everybody, like, we all in our lives are like on different trains and we just have different stops to get to where we're going to. So if you look at what other people are on their train, that's their
stop.
Train. Yeah, that's their stop.
Yeah.
So like, I know me personally, I could, have some kids in like the next like 3-4.
Yeah.
But like, if I tried to have kids 3-4 years ago, I wouldn't know what to do.
Exactly.
But some of our friends are like, they were ready, like they were groomed into that, so they knew and they kind of understood where their life was going and they got right into what they wanted to do immediately. So everything kind of fell from there.
Sense. Yeah.
So like us, we kind of like, because we want to be creators in that nature, like a good portion of our lives are spent trying to figure out ourselves. So like when you actually want to do what you like, with someone else, it takes a lot because you're still working on yourself so much that like adding another person is like, all right, now I got to learn myself with this person.
Yeah, it happens. That definitely happens.
Yeah, it's we did an event when I was with my old job. It was called, I named it #WCW, Working Crew Women. It was about
Women Crush Wednesday.
Yeah, but it was Working Crew Women, about
crazy.
women who work in film crews who are like in non-traditional roles for women. So women are generally in hair and makeup, wardrobe, set, like some set decorating with art department,
Design
right?
of some type,
Art department, hair, makeup, wardrobe. And so we had women who were gaffers, cinematographers, and one woman, they asked her, they asked someone, they were like, what about work-life balance and your family? And then one woman, she was honest. She said, well, I never created a family for myself. She said, because I was too busy being, like a rock star and getting these major motion pictures and these crazy hours. And then kind of down the panel, they were all like, yeah, like that's, they dedicated themselves to the craft. And that's often why we don't see enough women in film, on film crews, should I say, because it's like, how do you find a balance when you're doing 16-hour days, right?
Yeah.
And you're not the main talent, so it's not these trailers and this like type of break you have. Yeah. So it's like such a male-dominated industry.
Do you feel like that's common for women who are successful in their fields? I feel like a lot of times women have to make a sacrifice, whether it's being successful in their field or having a family.
Often, because we're more socialized for women to take care of all the domestic things or the house and the child rearing, right? Where it's not expected for men to like, clock out at 5 so they can go pick up the kids by 6 or, otherwise. And if we're being like totally honest, the way that the American economic structure is, everybody can't have nannies. Everyone can't pay for that type of help, right?
Yeah,
domestic help to like help raise their kids. And this the way like now we are in the economy. I saw this video and I thought it was a kind of mind blowing the correlation he made between the way our economy is and the family structure of like before, when it was all about agriculture in America, we had multi-generational living, big families, and a lot of times the grandma was at home with you, aunts, because it's like you need them to make a living, right? On your farm or whatever. And then when it came into the industrial age and they got the nuclear family, father, mother, 2.5 kids or whatever, right? And because then the mom stays home, takes care of the kids, and then now we're in a different economy where it's a computer age. Yeah. So everyone is kind of like a solo economy, where so he was relating it to like single parenthood and things like that. But it's like we're all making our own money. So now it was like, we're the kids, who's taking care of the family, and how does family fit into the way you make money, right? It's kind of interesting. I didn't even look at the time or where we're supposed to be. We didn't even get a chance to talk about or hit a segment about what we want to talk about in the first place. I mean, we started a little late.
We
did. But
I mean, they ain't come get us yet. So
love and family is, it's kind of like, I think for people, innovators, people who are trying to disrupt the culture, that is like the final frontier when you have your work-life balance. Really, and we look at a lot of the guests. I think working in education is one thing because it's built around children in school and their schedule. But then, like our last guest, he was just like, work-life balance. What's that?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I feel like that, I mean, we've had this conversation between ourselves, even being creatives and people who are working in a creative field. Like, in order for me to even fuel the creative energy and endeavors that I have, I got to have a regular job. So I work my 9 to 5, and then my 5 to 9 is my creative endeavors. So it's like I give myself to all of that. It's like, where do you have time to fill in those blanks and really capture those other moments and have a life?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, a lot of times on weekends when people are going out, I'm checking in and doing my own creative pieces.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's the sacrifices that you make in order to make things kind of fall into place.
Wow, it's rough out here when you're trying to change the world. When you're trying to change the world.
Just trying to do what you love, It's not easy. You gotta find a time, burn the midnight oil, until you can do it full time. Monetize yourself.
No, for sure.
So support your creators, please.
Yeah, put a cash register around what you would love to do.
Yeah, that's a whole nother. I don't think people understand the lengths that it takes for somebody to, 1, create their art, feel comfortable enough to display their art, but 3, even get paid what their art is worth. I think people are just very much like, put that out, give me this, give me that.
And it's funny, like, thinking about, because it made me think about my kid, right? Because my kid's an artist. He's producer, songwriter, music, like, he creates his songs and everything.
Real quick, while the idea's on my brain, see if he wants to create the theme song for our podcast.
I'm sure. I'll send you some stuff. He probably already got something.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, he but it's like interesting because like how kids can often become the improvement on the design, right? And when I look at a lot of people who are like pretty successful, or they're like these people who are like, oh wow, look at what they're doing in their strides. Sometimes they're like second generation of whatever, right?
Like a creative or whatever.
Yeah, or even sometimes with a person like they're an athlete, but their parents were athletes as well. And then you look like, wow, so they literally grew up watching someone balance that life, and then they took it and flipped it and improved on a design.
Exactly.
So like my son, both his parents are creatives. You know what I mean? So it's just interesting because even I'm thinking about like his little dating life, and he's more of a he's a producer, so he's more there like producing, there his computer doing everything, and he's like, girls would be like, well, it's like you don't have time. He's like, I just be in my bedroom producing. And
how old is your son?
He'll be 20 in July.
Okay.
So then they'll come by, and he was like, so and so was coming by, and I'm like, okay, fine. And he would like be like, she wanted to come, and like, well, I could come and just like watch you do. He's like, it's really not that interesting. He said, I'll listen a little bit. He said, and then I let her hear the stuff where I'm there working and I'm showing her how I'm doing it. He said that after a while she's like, all right, but what else? And he's just like, it's not, and it is like the process, right? And like and he loves his process, like falling in love with your process, but is it the creative, that part can be kind of hard. Like you said, in your free time, you're trying to work on your creative endeavors, right? And then it's like fitting someone else into it.
Yeah, and having the mesh.
Yeah, having it mesh in that time that you do have left over. Because like that's all you really want is someone's free time sometimes, but it's like, woo, it's rough.
I ain't got that to give balance. Sometimes. I ain't got it to give.
So if we're going to like start wrapping up, so in today's culture.
Yes.
Who do we like? Not even just today's culture, because like there's always the main overarching culture of the planet Earth, right? Yeah. And who do we feel like are, or like I guess 5 people, if you can think of 5.
I'll give you my top 3.
3, okay.
5
well,
I'm like, geez, I gotta think.
I don't think you would have to think that much if you thought about people who you would consider disruptors in a culture, whether it's music, anything in pop culture, or even it's technology, whatever it is, and and like why you feel like they're like a great person that we'll be talking about, let's say,
Years to come.
Yeah, years to come.
I think.
Because I was, we, just to give a little backstory, when we were talking about what was next, what we would talk about today.
Before all of this.
Yeah, before this, we started veering off into the non-existence of my Valentine's Day. We were talking about what's to talk about this week, and I was like, maybe Black History Month, but really, Black futures.
Yeah, Black future.
And who's disrupting the culture, and who are the people that later will end up. Did you feel like we'll be looking back on like, wow, that was excellence, that was greatness.
Yeah, and they really shifted kind of what we do, how things are working now.
Yeah.
So I think there are tons of people who can really fit those categories, but a couple that are really standing out for me. I think one is Issa.
Issa Rae.
Issa Rae stands out amazingly because I think she did what every creator wanted to do, and that's have a series on YouTube, something that she just did, got that, sold it to a bigger distribution or a bigger production company in HBO, and puts out her show Insecure. But from there, she then branched out into music, has her own record label where she puts those artists onto her shows, which is like fantastic, and I can't wait to continue to see what she does and like continues to do. And for me, it's just more inspiration and more like thought to be like, okay, this is now a new narrative. Yeah. So let's really see what we can become and what can happen for filmmakers and storytellers. In the music industry, I want to say I want to go with any and all of the new rappers coming up. Okay. Just because I'm not even like naming like one specifically, but like we talked about DaBaby before, but like people who are very much using their platforms to, one, be independent, two, engage with their social media followers, and just use that clout and not clout, but use that following, use that interactions to propel themselves without the help of a major label. Yeah. And they're really diversifying themselves by putting new people on with that, which is really cool because, again, you had to be signed to a major label in order to be successful in the past. Yeah. So it's really interesting to see how we're now breaking that down in all forms of fashions and really becoming independent artists who now artists can monetize themselves and then make a living from that, which is incredible. Lastly, for my third, I don't even know. Yeah. My third, I want to say, a part of me really wants to say Donald Glover, which is Childish Gambino. Other people know him as that. He hasn't done anything crazy as of late. Yeah. But before the show, we were talking about Atlanta, and that's how we also came to the topic of what today was going to be. But I just think seeing people who are putting out different types of creations, music, TV shows, narratives, acting, he does a lot of different things. And I feel like it just allows people to not be boxed in. Yeah. Like people who know me know that I love storytelling, know that I love film, but I'm a fashion geek. Like I like designing. Like we did the old head merch. I love doing the old head merch. We're about to make Disruptors in the Culture merch. I love creating stuff and wearing it and putting it on and just like having that kind of my own swag and my own steez to things. So like it just makes me feel more comfortable that I don't only have to like music. I don't only have to like storytelling. I don't only have to like one thing. I can really do whatever I want and just have that be me.
Wow. Good answers.
Yeah, that's your turn. You want to spotlight now? Flip it. You have time to think too.
Yeah, I mean a little bit. I was like thinking, and I'm like, I can't overthink it, right? Mm-hmm. So, first person I was thinking was Idris Sandu. Yeah, and technology, like him being so young. And there's a lot of conversation around technology, how to best use it for Black and brown people to like have participation in it. But looking at him and him moving it into a new frontier, and in his demonstration and who he is of just like, here I am, and I'm going to be myself, and show up as myself, and just him going to talk and to me it's just like. A lot of the things he talks about with technology and even because we were always told like, coding and do these coding classes where he's like, yes and no. Like if you get a degree in it, by the time you come out of school, the technology is already behind.
Already past that.
You know what I mean? Like how he showed how he was able to bypass, not was able to, he just was like genius and knew like people are graduating from his internship. I think it was Google, and he said people would come and they just graduate and say, hey, and they would say, yeah, but this is the language that you're using and that you've learned, and we off that now at this point. That. Yeah, you know what I mean? So him helping like other young Black and brown tech creators and like a new aspiration, and to see him and just someone who looks like them and expanding their boundaries, you know what I mean? And some of the cool stuff that even I just see him show on social where he's doing augmented reality and things like that. Crazy. Yeah, so I think he's totally someone we're going to like be talking about for a very long time and disrupting the culture, right? Shout out.
I feel like your list is already better than mine with that. Like,
no.
Go ahead.
I'm trying to think. I had someone for number 2, and then you were talking about fashion, and I was like, yeah. So I'm like running through my Rolodex to like disrupting that. My number 2 honestly would be like my good friend Wallow.
Yeah.
I
give
look
Wallow
at him,
his credit.
and he's about to grow to something that people see it now. After like the podcast has really done its thing, and just from social influence, where I look at a lot of influencers, they were already known for something else, right? Where he really comes in, I think it's a disruption of standing in your truth, but I can't even say too much because it's like I work with him on different projects. Yeah. And I know his future projections and his plans and where he wants to go. We like talk about it and map it. And he's like, find me this, find me that, as far as, and like, this is where I want to go with it, right? Yeah. But just the power of an authentic story and saying like, I'm just standing in myself as a person who has a very imperfect past, and I've grown and learned from that, and just that example, and no gimmicks really. You know what I mean? Like, no,
that man is authentic.
Yeah, like 100%. So I think where he will be in 20 years, people are going to be like, damn, he did that. You know what I mean? Because we already looking at it like that, right? And number 3, someone disrupting the culture. I'm like, gosh, who did I have at the top of mind? If we're looking at technology, music, you covered music and fashion.
I did.
Oh, well, that was one person I was thinking of. There's so many creatives in film who are really doing their thing. Yeah. But I think it also comes down to one authenticity again. Like, man, Ryan Coogler.
Yeah, shout out Ryan Coogler.
Yeah, man. Like, to be honest, I remember, first meeting him when he was here for Creed 1. I came to the film commission. I was working with them, but I came after the already wrapped filming. Yeah. So it was the press conference and stuff. And I met him, and he was just like, like a dope, cool person. But even before then, I remember seeing an interview with him, and I was kind of blown away by how I was like, yo, he is so Oakland, right? And for me, he helped me because like when I came into I sound very much like where I'm from. Yeah, you know what I mean?
You're from Philly, so
yeah,
you sound like you're from Philly.
Like I'm from Philly. And when I came into that job, I remember there were a couple of people who were like, oh, so you're the new director of marketing and inclusion. I was like, yeah, I am. And they're like, you look young. And I'm like, I'm not as young as you might think. And then it would be, yeah, and they would say like, oh, so you're the person in the interim? And I was like, no, I'm the person. And this is before you see my skill, right? They were just looking, and I think they were kind of looking like, you sound kind of hood. Like, you know what I mean? And I'm just, because I don't code switch. I am myself through and through, because I'm just like, get used to it. It's time to like let go, or like, kill the like getting rid of the old guard, like changing of the guard.
Changing the guard for sure.
Of where we have to do all this assimilation and trying to. It's one thing if you're doing the evening news and you're delivering it for these different markets, and everyone needs to be able to get past your accent. Yeah. But the truth is, people will get past that, right?
Exactly.
But so when like seeing him in interviews, and it was like, whoa, like he sounds like he sounds like Oakland, and then he's so brilliant. Yeah. And then just like some of the doors he's opened for young millennials in film, where it was just like, wow, he's doing it, and keeping it really, and he's able to do it on his terms because of his success.
And I think it's cool seeing creatives being unapologetically black in their spaces.
Yes.
So I think that's first and foremost the most important.
Yeah, because it gives people the power and the not even permission, but the courage. Yeah. The courage to be themselves.
Y'all heard that? That was very nice.
It was a harp. That was your timing.
I don't know what that. I was like, I ain't never heard that before.
That sounds like someone did the keyboard.
Yeah,
like,
straight across. That's like, they trying to make that our exit music or something like that.
I don't know.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's a solid list of people.
That is a solid list of people.
Yeah, we'll be talking about, because for sure, Issa, boy, she took it all the way. That's kind of like the model that, like, I know you guys saw with Old Head, where you're like the web series model.
Literally, and I think people, because of her, I want to say people started looking at us the way that people started looking at us.
True.
Which was nice. I mean, like I said, to me, we haven't really gotten to where we need to be yet. But to some other people, we feel like we made it.
Yeah.
So
you know what? Another disruptor. I mean, it's one thing. Being from Philly, there is such a huge artist community here.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of artists who are really taking great chances and really putting on for the community. But they're gonna be disruptors, man. Maori Karma L. Holmes, the founder of the Black Star Film Fest, what they consider the Black Sundance, man. Yeah. She did it.
Tell her we need parts.
Who need parts?
We need parts.
You need to submit.
I did.
Okay.
Got rejected twice.
Well, hey, step your game up, brother. It's like, let me stop.
Right.
But yeah, it's just, of just content by Black creators. And it's not only about commercial success and what they think the box office what they find is palatable, or it's not about the white gaze, which so many outlets, and because you already have to go up against that with Hollywood, of them saying, well, how would this perform overseas, and just not trusting that we tell powerful, amazing stories. And we talked about this on a earlier episode when Tony was still here on the East Coast, of when you ask, like, it feels like a lot of the content and movies that were coming out in the 90s were like so amazing and it became like so classic compared to now. Yeah. But I think it's that because they were speaking in their authentic voice, because it wasn't about the white gaze, right?
Exactly.
It was like, this is
care.
my audience and this is who this is for. Where now I feel like if you try to make it so palatable for everyone, you water down the culture.
Exactly. Hands down.
Yeah, it's like food, when they'll be like, "Oh, this is
like
what?"
Food.
No, yeah, it's like.
No, I just started thinking about it. I was like, yeah, it really is like food. You can't overcook it. You got to put it from its natural sense.
Yeah, or it's like you go to a Mexican restaurant. They'll be like, "No, that's it's like a Mexican restaurant. Yeah. This is really like or authentic." Like you go to a soul
food spot, got a real Jamaican spot. Like,
yes, or it's authentic, and then there's the other one that is trying to like cater to everyone, and they're more a little Americanized.
Nah, we don't want you. We want what we got.
Yeah, we want the real. Give me the authentic. Give me with the culture, like what's really real. So.
Man, well, I think we got to wrap up. I don't even know. We need like a closing something. I don't think we have any closing nothing.
Or you could look right in that camera and be like,
dead in your face.
Bang.
Welcome. Thank you for tuning in to our another episode of Disruptors in the Culture. Yeah, I'm gonna hit you my best lucky day. Listen, look. I know you see me. I know you see me looking at you. Thank you. And thank you. I did the LL Cool J lip lick that. Thank you.
Wait, see, man, if you would have published this tomorrow, your Valentine's could be spicy with that outro.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode. I have been Joshua Meekins.
I'm Amira Smith.
This Drew and Wanj. And we out. I'm me all the time. Thank you.
He said I'm not me
Love
no
to
more.
have you. See you, camera. Peace.